Jake Morrison stood in the huge alien council room. The walls were made of some kind of crystal that glowed with soft blue light. He had been here many times before, but today felt different. Today, something was going to change. The alien leaders sat in their tall chairs, looking down at him like he was a child asking for candy. The Valdari looked like floating jellyfish made of light. The Kethmar were like giant bugs with too many eyes. The Zephyrians were living crystals that sang when they talked. All of them thought humans were stupid and weak. Jake smiled as practiced. Smile. He had been doing this for 3 years now. Smile, bow a little, speak softly, never argue. That was the human way when dealing with aliens. At least, that was what the aliens thought was the human way. Captain Lisa Hayes stood behind him. With the other human officers, she wore her dress uniform and kept her face blank. Her ship, the New Horizon, was parked outside the station. The aliens thought it was just a simple transport ship. They were wrong about many things. Ambassador Morrison, said Counselor Vexter. Of the Kethmar, his voice sounded like grinding metal. We have reached a decision about humanity's place in our galactic community. Jake nodded politely. We are honored to hear your wisdom, Counselor. The alien bug creature clicked his mandibles. After careful study, we have decided to grant humanity limited membership in the Galactic Council. Thank you, Counselor. We are grateful for this opportunity. You will be restricted to your home system, Vexter continued. No expansion beyond Earth, no colonies, no exploration rights. This is for your own safety, of course. Humans are too primitive and emotional for full citizenship. Jake felt something twist in his stomach. Behind him, he heard Captain Hayes take a slow breath. Dr. Helen Carter, their science officer, made a small sound like she was choking on something. We understand your concerns, Jake said, still smiling. Humans are indeed young compared to your great civilizations. The Valdari representative Serenity of Stars floated closer. Her voice was like wind chimes. You should be pleased, human. Many species never receive even limited membership. Your emotional instability makes you dangerous to yourselves and others. Jake nodded again. Of course. We appreciate your guidance, but something was changing in Jake's eyes. The smile was still there, but it was getting colder. Captain Hayes noticed it first. She had served with Jake for 5 years and knew all his expressions. This one was new. This one was dangerous. Crystal Song of Ancient Wisdom, the Zephyrian delegate sang in harmonious tones. Perhaps in a few thousand years, when humans have learned to control their violent nature, we might consider expanding your privileges. Violent nature, Jake repeated softly. Yes, humans can be quite violent when necessary. The aliens did not notice the change in his tone. They were too busy congratulating themselves on their wisdom and mercy. Dr. Carter stepped forward. For 3 years, she had been the perfect example of human scientific curiosity. Always asking questions, always deferring to alien knowledge, always apologizing for human ignorance. But now she was looking at the aliens with new eyes. Counselors, she said quietly, may I ask a question about the decision-making process? Of course, young human. What do you wish to know? How long have you been planning this outcome? Helen asked. From the beginning, or did you actually consider other options? Vexter clicked his mandibles, and what Jake had learned was alien. Laughter, clever little human. We decided your fate the moment your species made contact. You were never going to receive full membership. I see, Helen said. Her voice was very calm now. Too calm. Jake felt his smile disappear completely. 3 years. 3 years of careful diplomacy, of swallowing insults, of pretending to be grateful for scraps. 3 years of his people being treated like children by creatures who thought they were superior. Behind him, Captain Hayes was looking at her communication device. A message had appeared, Protocol 7 authorization requested. She looked at Jake's back and saw the tension in his shoulders. Ambassador, said Serenity of Stars. You seem troubled. Is there something wrong? Jake turned to look at her fully for the first time. When aliens looked into human eyes before, they saw fear, hope, eagerness to please. Now Serenity of Stars saw something that made her ethereal form flicker with uncertainty. "Wrong?" Jake said. His voice was different now, deeper, colder. "No, nothing is wrong. I was just thinking about something Dr. Carter said earlier about decision-making processes. What about them?" Crystal Song asked, his harmonic voice wavering slightly. "She mentioned that different species have different approaches to long-term planning," Jake said. He was not smiling anymore. "Some species make quick decisions based on immediate impressions. Others prefer to gather information over time before acting." The aliens looked at each other. Something in the humans' tone was making them uncomfortable, though they could not quite identify what. Captain Hayes received another message on her device. This one was from Earth, from General Patricia Stone herself. 2 words, "Stand ready." Lisa Hayes had been waiting for this message for 3 years. She touched her communication badge once. On the New Horizon, her crew received the signal. Across the galaxy, every human ship, every human base, every human operative received the same signal. The masquerade was almost over. Jake continued talking, his voice growing steadier and more confident with each word. "You see, counselors, humans have learned a great deal about galactic civilization in the past 3 years. About your technologies, your military capabilities, your political structures." "As was intended," Vexler said, though he sounded less certain now. "You were supposed to learn." "Yes," Jake agreed. "We learned many things. We learned that the Valdari consider emotional species to be inherently inferior. We learned that the Kethmar respect only strength and hierarchy. We learned that the Zephyrians value ancient wisdom above new ideas." The council chamber was getting quieter. Even the background hum of the station system seemed muted. "But most importantly," Jake said, "we learned that you judge species based on first impressions and never change your minds." Dr. Carter was now standing beside Jake instead of behind him. Her posture had changed completely. She no longer looked like a curious student seeking approval from wise teachers. She looked like a scientist who had finished gathering her data and was ready to draw conclusions. "The question is," Jake continued, "what happens when those first impressions are deliberately misleading?" Counselor Vexler's many eyes focused on Jake with sudden intensity. "What are you saying, human?" Jake Morrison looked up at the towering alien counselors. For the first time in 3 years, he was not looking up at them with respect or hope or fear. He was looking at them the way a human looked at a problem that needed to be solved. "I am saying, counselor, that you may have made an error in your assessment of humanity." The smile was completely gone now. What remained was something the aliens had never seen before in a human face. Something that made ancient instincts whisper warnings in the back of their minds. Something that looked very much like a predator that had finished studying its prey. The silence in the council chamber stretched like a tight wire. Jake Morrison stood straighter than he had in 3 years. His shoulders were back, his chin up, and his hands were no longer clasped politely in front of him. They hung loose at his sides, ready. Captain Lisa Hayes felt the change in the room like electricity in the air before a storm. She had been waiting for this moment since the day they first arrived at the Galactic Council. The day when humans could finally stop pretending to be something they were not. Her communication device buzzed softly. The message was from Captain Ryan Brooks, commander of the research vessel Peaceful Explorer, currently orbiting the station. The message was short. "Protocol 7 confirmed." "All stations ready," Lisa smiled for the first time in months. It was not the careful, diplomatic smile she had been wearing. It was the smile of a military officer whose battle plan was finally being put into action. Dr. Helen Carter was no longer the shy scientist who asked permission to speak. She stepped forward and pulled out a data tablet. The aliens watched her with growing confusion as her entire manner changed before their eyes. "Counselors," Helen said, her voice clear and strong, "I believe there are some things we need to discuss about our observations during our time here." "Observations?" Crystal Song of Ancient Wisdom sang, but his harmonic tones sounded worried now. "Yes, you see, for the past 3 years, humanity has been conducting the most comprehensive xenobiological and sociological study in galactic history. We have detailed files on every species in this council. Helen touched her tablet and a holographic display appeared in the center of the room. The aliens leaned forward, expecting to see primitive human research. Instead, they saw detailed biological scans, psychological profiles, and tactical assessments that were far more advanced than anything in their own databases. Counselor Vexler's mandibles clicked rapidly. How did you obtain this information? Our security protocols are very impressive, Jake interrupted smoothly. But not as impressive as you think. Dr. Sarah Martinez, our communications specialist, has been monitoring all council transmissions for 2 years now. Every supposedly secure conversation, every private meeting, every classified document. The Veldari representative, Serenity of Stars, flickered with agitation. This is impossible. Our encryption is based on mathematical principles that human computers solved in the first week we were here, Helen said calmly. She touched her tablet again, and suddenly the chamber's speakers began playing back recordings of private alien conversations. The first voice was, Vexler speaking to another Kethmer official. The humans are useful idiots. We can use their eagerness against them. The second voice was Crystal Song speaking to his fellow Zephyrians. Their primitive minds cannot grasp our true intentions. They will accept whatever restrictions we place on them. The third voice was Serenity of Stars, talking to her Veldari council. Emotional species are always easy to manipulate. Give them hope, then take it away slowly. Jake let the recordings play for several minutes while the alien counselors sat in stunned silence. When he finally gestured for Helen to stop the playback, the chamber was dead quiet. Now, Jake said, his voice carrying an authority that made the aliens look at him with new eyes. Let me tell you what humanity has really been doing for the past 3 years. On the bridge of the Peaceful Explorer, Captain Ryan Brooks was watching his screens with satisfaction. All around the council station, space that had appeared empty was now filled with human vessels. Not the simple transport ships the aliens thought they were, but advanced reconnaissance craft that had been hiding in plain sight. All ships report ready, his tactical officer, Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez, announced. Stealth systems have been holding perfectly. The aliens still don't know we're here. Ryan nodded. After 3 years of pretending his ship was just a peaceful research vessel, it felt good to finally acknowledge what it really was, a fully armed intelligence-gathering platform, capable of outfighting anything in the alien fleet. Maintain positions, he ordered. Let the ambassador finish his presentation before we reveal ourselves. Back in the council chamber, Jake was just getting started. Captain Hayes, he said without turning around, please contact General Patricia. Stone on Earth. Lisa touched her communication device. Within seconds, a holographic image of a stern-faced woman in military uniform appeared beside Jake. The aliens had never seen this person before, but the way she carried herself made it clear she was someone important. General Stone, please brief the council on Operation Friendly Neighbor. The general's image turned to face the alien counselors. Her expression was not hostile, but it was not friendly either. It was the look of a professional soldier reporting facts. 3 years ago, General Stone began, humanity initiated the largest intelligence operation in our species' history. Every diplomatic mission, every cultural exchange, every research project has been carefully designed to gather information about galactic civilization. The aliens were starting to look genuinely worried now. We have detailed maps of every major military installation, complete analyses of all technological capabilities, and comprehensive psychological profiles of every important political figure in the galaxy, the general continued. We know your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, and your ambitions. Dr. Carter stepped forward again. For example, we know that the Veldari reproductive cycle makes them vulnerable to specific sonic frequencies. We know that the Kethmer hive structure can be disrupted by targeting their pheromone communication systems. We know that the Zephyrian crystalline matrix has a critical resonance point that could cause cascading failures. The alien counselors were now looking at each other with something approaching panic. These were secrets that their own species guarded carefully. How could the primitive humans have discovered them? More importantly, Jake said, we know how. You think? The Valdari make decisions based on perceived emotional states. The Kethmer follow rigid hierarchical structures. The Zephyrians rely on ancient patterns and traditions. You are all completely predictable. Counselor Vexler stood up, his insectoid form towering over the humans. This is an outrage. You have violated every diplomatic protocol. We have done exactly what any intelligent species would do when encountering potential threats, Jake said calmly. We gathered information, we assessed capabilities. We planned for multiple scenarios. Threats? Serenity of stars flickered brighter. We offered you membership in our community. You offered us a cage, Dr. Carter replied. A very pretty cage, but a cage nonetheless. Limited to our home system, no expansion rights, no real voice in galactic affairs. Did you think we would not notice that every species you deem emotional or primitive receives the same treatment? Jake gestured to Helen, who brought up another holographic display. This one showed a map of the galaxy with different colored regions marked throughout. 47 species have been granted limited membership in the past 1,000 years, Helen explained. All of them are now confined to single systems, dependent on the Council for Resources and Technology. None of them have any real political power. It is a very efficient way to neutralize potential competitors. The chamber was silent except for the humming of the station's systems. The alien counselors were realizing that their carefully maintained superiority was built on a foundation that was crumbling beneath them. Jake Morrison looked up at them, and for the first time, they saw him as he really was, not an eager young species hoping for approval, but a representative of a civilization that had survived and thrived on one of the most dangerous planets in the galaxy. A species that had turned warfare into an art form, that had conquered their own world through intelligence, determination, and the willingness to do whatever was necessary to survive. The question now, Jake said quietly, is what happens next. On her ship, Captain Hayes received another message. This one was from every human vessel in the galaxy, all reporting the same thing. Ready and awaiting orders, the masquerade was over. Now the real negotiations could begin. Jake Morrison walked slowly around the holographic display in the center of the council chamber. The aliens watched him move with new eyes. 3 years ago, they had seen a nervous human trying to please his superiors. Now they were seeing something else entirely, something that moved with purpose and confidence. Dr. Carter, Jake said without looking at her, please show our friends the real human technology assessment. Helen touched her tablet and the holographic display changed. Instead of the primitive human technology the aliens expected to see, the display showed spacecraft designs that were clearly more advanced than anything in the alien databases. Counselor Vexler's mandibles clicked rapidly as he studied the images. This is impossible. Your species barely achieved faster than light travel 50 years ago. That is what we told you, Jake replied. It was not exactly true. Dr. Carter stepped closer to the display. Humanity achieved practical faster-than-light travel 73 years ago. We spent 23 years exploring the galaxy in secret before making official contact. We wanted to know what we were dealing with before we introduced ourselves. The alien counselors were staring at the display in shock. The spacecraft designs were not just advanced, they were revolutionary. Engine systems that exceeded anything the Galactic Council had ever developed. Weapons that could potentially challenge their most powerful warships. Defense systems that seemed almost impossible. Where did you acquire this technology? Crystal Song of Ancient Wisdom, sang, his harmonic voice shaking with worry. We developed it ourselves, Helen said simply. Humans are very good at solving problems when their survival depends on it. Jake gestured to Captain Hayes, who stepped forward and activated her own communication device. Captain Brooks, please join us. The holographic image of a man in military uniform appeared beside Jake, Captain Ryan Brooks. looked nothing like the friendly research vessel commander the aliens thought they knew. He looked like what he really was, the captain of one of humanity's most advanced warships. "Captain," Jake said, "please explain to the council what the Peaceful Explorer actually is." Ryan smiled, and it was not a pleasant smile. The Peaceful Explorer is a Reaper-class intelligence vessel. It carries enough firepower to destroy this entire station and everything within a 50,000-kilometer radius. It has been scanning your defenses for 3 years and has found them to be adequate but not exceptional. The aliens looked at each other with growing alarm. The harmless research ship they had been ignoring was actually a weapon of mass destruction that had been studying them like laboratory specimens. "All human vessels currently in galactic space are similarly equipped," Ryan continued. "We have 47 ships positioned throughout the galaxy, each one capable of independent operations and each one armed with weapons you have never encountered before." Lieutenant Commander Amy Rodriguez appeared beside Captain Brooks. "At this moment, we have real-time intelligence on every major military installation, government facility, and strategic resource in galactic space. We know the location of every alien warship, the status of every defense system, and the current readiness level of every military unit." Jake walked over to stand directly in front of the alien counselors. "You wanted to know about human emotional instability? Let me tell you about human emotions. We get angry when we are lied to. We get frustrated when we are treated like children. We get very, very dangerous when we are threatened." Dr. Carter brought up another display, this one showing detailed military assessments of each alien species. The Valdari fleet consists of 847 vessels, most of them over 200 years old. Their energy weapons are powerful but slow to recharge. Their shields are vulnerable to rapid-fire projectile weapons. Estimated time to neutralize: 4 hours. The Kethmer military operates on hive mind principles that make them predictable and vulnerable to disruption. She continued, "Their biological weapons are impressive but useless against properly protected humans. Their ground forces are numerous but poorly coordinated without central command. Estimated time to neutralize: 6 hours. The Zephyrian Defense Network relies on crystal matrix technology that is beautiful but fragile. Their ancient weapons are powerful but cannot adapt to new tactics. Their reliance on traditional methods makes them vulnerable to unconventional attacks. Estimated time to neutralize: 2 hours. The council chamber was absolutely silent. The alien counselors were realizing that the species they had dismissed as primitive and harmless had been conducting a comprehensive military analysis of their entire civilization. Counselor Vexler stood up, his insectoid form trembling with rage. "This is an act of war. You have deceived us. You have violated every principle of diplomatic conduct." Jake looked up at him calmly. "Have we? Let me ask you something, Counselor. When you first met humanity, did you conduct intelligence assessments of our capabilities? That is different. We are the established galactic powers. We have the right to gather intelligence on potential threats," Jake finished. "Yes, I agree. That is exactly what we did too." General Stone's holographic image spoke up. "The difference is that we did it better than you did? Much better." Dr. Carter activated another display, this one showing the location of alien intelligence operations throughout human space. "We identified every spy, every surveillance device, and every covert operation within 6 months of first contact. We have been feeding you false information ever since. Your assessment of human military capabilities is completely wrong," she continued. "Your understanding of human psychology is based on deliberate misdirection. Your evaluation of human technology is off by several centuries." Jake walked over to the huge crystal windows that looked out into space. "Captain Brooks, I think it is time for our friends to see what they have really been dealing with." Ryan nodded. "All ships execute Revelation Protocol." Outside the council station, space began to shimmer and change. What had appeared to be empty void suddenly filled with human spacecraft. Dozens of vessels appeared as their stealth systems deactivated, surrounding the station in a perfect formation. But these were not the simple transport and research ships the aliens thought they knew. These were sleek, dangerous-looking warships. bristling with weapons and sensor arrays. Ships that looked like they had been designed by a species that understood war at a fundamental level. The alien counselors rushed to the windows to stare out at the display of force surrounding them. They had been completely surrounded without even knowing it. How long have they been there? Serenity of Stars asked, her ethereal form flickering with fear. 3 years, Jake replied. Since the day we first arrived. Every human diplomatic mission, every cultural exchange, every research expedition has been escorted by invisible guardians. You never saw them because we did not want you to see them. Crystal song of ancient wisdom's harmonic voice was barely audible. What do you want from us? Jake turned back to face the counselors. What we have always wanted, what every species wants. Respect. Dr. Carter activated one final display, this one showing detailed analyses of galactic politics and power structures. We know about the rebellion brewing in the outer systems. We know about the resource wars the Council has been suppressing. We know about the ancient weapons hidden in the galactic core. We know about everything. More importantly, Jake said, we know that the galactic community needs what humanity can offer. Our technology, our adaptability, our ability to find solutions to problems that have plagued the galaxy for millennia. He walked back to stand in front of the alien counselors. The question is whether you are wise enough to accept us as equals or foolish enough to try to maintain the pretense that you are our superiors. The alien counselors looked at each other, then at the human ships surrounding their station, then at the calm, confident humans standing before them. For the first time in galactic history, they were faced with a species that was not asking for their approval or begging for their acceptance. They were faced with humans who had quietly, systematically, and thoroughly outplayed them at their own game. And now those humans were offering them a choice. The council chamber felt smaller now. The alien counselors who had seemed so imposing just hours ago now looked uncertain and afraid. Jake Morrison stood in the center of the room, no longer the polite ambassador, but something far more dangerous. A human who had stopped pretending to be harmless. Dr. Helen Carter activated her tablet one more time. There is something else you need to understand about humanity, she said. Something that your intelligence files got completely wrong. Professor Carl Martinez stepped forward. For 3 years he had been the quiet human historian, always asking permission to speak, always deferring to alien knowledge. Now he moved with the confidence of someone who had been studying his enemies for far longer than they had been studying him. You believe humans are a young species, Carl said. You think we only recently developed civilization. You are wrong. He gestured to Helen, who brought up a new holographic display. This one showed the real history of humanity, not the sanitized version they had been sharing with the aliens, but the truth. Humans have been fighting wars for over 10,000 years, Carl continued. We have survived ice ages that would have destroyed most species. We have endured plagues that killed half our population and came back stronger. We have fought each other across continents and oceans, developing strategies and tactics that would terrify most galactic civilizations. The display showed images of human conflicts throughout history. Ancient battles, medieval sieges, modern warfare, space conflicts. The aliens watched in growing horror as they realized the true scope of human military experience. Earth is what galactic xenobiologists call a death world, Carl explained. Everything on our planet evolved to kill everything else. The weather tries to kill us. The animals try to kill us. The plants try to kill us. Even the bacteria tries to kill us. Humans survived by becoming better at killing than anything else on the planet. Counselor Vexler's many eyes focused on the display. This cannot be accurate. Your species appeared peaceful when you made first contact. Because we chose to appear peaceful, Jake said. Do you want to know why? Not because we are naturally peaceful, but because we learned something that your species never did. We learned that the most dangerous predator is the one that does not look dangerous. Colonel Beth Turner appeared as a hologram beside Jake. The aliens had never seen her before, but her military bearing made it clear she was someone important. Very important. I command Earth's orbital defense network, she said without preamble. For the past 3 years, we have been building the most advanced military installation in galactic history. Would you like to see it? The holographic display changed to show Earth's solar system. What the aliens saw made them step backward in shock. The peaceful blue world they remembered was now surrounded by massive weapons platforms, hidden asteroid bases, and defense networks that turned the entire system into an impregnable fortress. Every major asteroid has been hollowed out and converted into a weapons platform, Beth explained. Every moon has been equipped with shield generators and missile systems. Every planet in the system now serves a military purpose. The asteroid belt alone contains enough firepower to destroy every major alien world simultaneously, she continued. The outer planets have been converted into manufacturing centers producing weapons and spacecraft at a rate that exceeds the combined output of the rest of the galaxy. Dr. Carter pulled up another display showing human industrial capacity. While you were deciding whether to grant us limited membership, we were building the infrastructure to fight a galactic war and win it. Captain Lisa Hayes stepped forward. The New Horizon is not a transport ship. It is a command vessel designed to coordinate fleet operations across interstellar distances. Every human diplomatic ship is actually a mobile command center. She activated her communication system. All vessels report status. One by one, human ship commanders appeared as holograms around the room. Not the friendly research team leaders the aliens thought they knew, but military officers commanding some of the most advanced warships ever built. Captain Kevin Stone, commanding the vessel Truthseeker, currently positioned above the Valdari homeworld. All defensive systems mapped and targeted. Captain Nicole Foster, commanding the vessel Silent Hunter, currently monitoring Kethmer fleet movements in the Hive sector. Enemy capabilities assessed and countermeasures prepared. Captain Peter Gray, commanding the vessel Deep Strike, currently investigating Zephyrian crystal mines in the core worlds. Strategic resources identified and cataloged. The alien counselors realized with growing horror that every major alien world was being watched by hidden human warships. Ships that had been gathering intelligence and preparing for war while their commanders smiled and made polite conversation at diplomatic receptions. Jake walked over to stand directly in front of the alien counselors. You want to know what humans do when threatened. We do not panic. We do not surrender. We do not negotiate from weakness. We prepare. We plan. We gather our strength, and then we act. But here is what makes humans truly dangerous, he continued. We do not want to rule the galaxy. We do not want to conquer your worlds or enslave your people. We want something much more frightening than that. What do you want? Crystal Song of Ancient Wisdom asked, his harmonic voice barely audible. We want you to be worthy of our respect, Jake replied. We want you to be strong enough and smart enough and brave enough to be our equals, because a galaxy full of weaklings is not worth ruling. Professor Martinez stepped forward again. Every great human civilization was built through conflict with equals. We became strong by fighting those who could challenge us. We became smart by facing those who could outwit us. We became brave by confronting those who could destroy us. You wanted to keep us weak and contained, he continued, but weak enemies make weak allies. And humanity needs allies, not subjects? Dr. Carter activated one final display, this one showing detailed projections of the galaxy's future. Our analysis indicates that the current galactic order is unsustainable. The rebellion in the outer systems will succeed within 20 years. The resource wars will destabilize 3 major sectors. The ancient weapons in the core will eventually be discovered and used. The Galactic Council as it currently exists will collapse within 50 years, she stated matter-of-factly. The only question is what replaces it. Jake looked at each alien. Counselor in turn, humanity is offering you a choice. You can adapt to the new reality that we are your equals and potential allies, or you can cling to the old ways and be swept aside by the changes that are coming. If you choose to work with us, humanity will share our technology, our resources, and our capabilities. We will help you build a stronger, more stable galactic civilization. If you choose to oppose us, he continued, his voice growing colder, then you will discover that humans are very good at destroying things that threaten them. Very good indeed. The council chamber was silent except for the humming of the station systems. Outside the windows, the human fleet waited in perfect formation, their weapons powered but not targeted, their shields raised but not aggressive. A demonstration of power that was somehow more frightening than any direct threat. Counselor. Vexter looked at his fellow counselors, then back at the humans. What exactly are you proposing? Jake smiled, and for the first time in 3 years, it was a genuine smile. Not the careful, diplomatic expression he had been wearing, but the smile of someone who was finally able to speak the truth. I am proposing that we start over, he said. No more lies, no more deception, no more pretending to be something we are not. Humanity will take its rightful place in the galactic community, and you will treat us as the equals we have always. Then, and if we refuse? Serenity of Stars asked. Jake's smile never wavered. Then you will discover why humans became the dominant species on a death world, and why we have never lost a war that truly mattered to our survival. The choice was theirs to make. The silence stretched for what felt like hours but was probably only minutes. The alien counselors looked at each other, communicating in ways humans had learned to read over the past 3 years. The Valdari flickered with different colors of light. The Kethmer clicked their mandibles in complex patterns. Zephyrions sang in harmonics too low for human ears to hear properly. Jake Morrison waited. He had learned patience during his time as a diplomat, even if everything else about his role had been an act. Now he stood calmly while 3 of the most powerful species in the galaxy decided whether they would accept humanity as an equal or try to destroy them. Captain Lisa Hayes watched the tactical displays on her personal device. Every human ship in the galaxy was ready. Every defense platform around Earth was armed. Every weapon that humanity had built in secret over the past 3 years was prepared to fire. But she hoped it would not come to that. Humans preferred to win through intelligence and planning rather than brute force. It was more efficient and usually led to better long-term outcomes. But if the aliens chose war, humanity was ready for that too. Dr. Helen Carter studied the alien counselors with the same careful attention she had been using for 3 years. She could read their body language now, could interpret their subtle communication methods. The Valdari were afraid, but trying not to show it. The Kethmer were angry, but also impressed despite themselves. The Zephyrions were thinking, calculating, trying to find a way to maintain their ancient pride while accepting the new reality. Finally, Counselor Vexter spoke. You have deceived us completely, he said, his metallic voice carrying a tone that was hard to interpret. For 3 years you have lied to us about everything. Yes, Jake agreed simply. We did. You have violated every principle of diplomatic conduct. You have spied on us, threatened us, and demonstrated that our security is worthless against your capabilities. Yes, Jake said again, we did all of that too. Vexler's mandibles clicked in what Jake had learned was either laughter or extreme agitation. And now you want us to accept you as equals and allies? We want you to accept reality, Jake corrected. Whether you like that reality or not is up to you. Crystal Song of Ancient Wisdom sang in low, thoughtful tones. In all our centuries of existence, no species has ever approached the galactic community in this manner. You have turned first contact into a military operation disguised as diplomacy. Professor Carl Martinez stepped forward. With respect, Counselor, first contact is always a military operation. The only question is whether the participants are honest about it or not. Every species evaluates new contacts as potential threats or potential resources, he continued. The difference is that humans are very good at it and we do not pretend otherwise. Serenity of Stars flickered through several colors before speaking. You claim to want equality, but you have demonstrated clear superiority in intelligence gathering, military technology, and strategic planning. How is this equality? Dr. Carter answered. Because superiority in some areas does not mean superiority in all areas. Humans are good at war and planning and building things. But we are not good at everything. She activated her tablet one more time, bringing up a display that surprised the aliens. Instead of showing more human capabilities, it showed human weaknesses and limitations. We are terrible at long-term biological manipulation. The Valdari could redesign our entire species in ways we cannot even imagine. We do not understand crystal matrix technology at all. The Zephyrians have capabilities in that area that we may never match. We have no experience with hive mind coordination. Pikethmer can achieve levels of cooperation that individual-minded species struggle with. Humanity wants allies because we know we cannot do everything alone, she continued. We want partners who can do things we cannot do, who can think in ways we cannot think, who can solve problems we cannot solve. Jake walked over to the crystal windows and looked out at the human fleet surrounding the station. Admiral Nicole Foster, please join us. A new holographic figure appeared, this one wearing the uniform of a human fleet commander. The aliens had never seen her before, but her bearing made it clear she was the person in charge of all the human ships they could see outside. Admiral, Jake said, please explain to the Council what will happen if they choose to work with us. Nicole Foster looked at each alien counselor in turn. If you choose cooperation, the human fleet will withdraw to a respectful distance. We will share our defensive technologies to help protect your worlds from the threats that are coming. We will provide economic support to help stabilize your governments. We will offer military assistance against common enemies. And if they choose to oppose us? Vexter asked. Then we will demonstrate why humans have never lost a war that mattered to our survival, she replied simply. But we would prefer not to. Destroying civilizations is wasteful, and we have better things to do with our time. Dr. Peter Gray, appearing as a hologram from his position near the galactic core, spoke up. I have been monitoring the ancient weapon sites for the past 2 years. The seals are failing. Within a decade, someone will access technologies that could destroy entire star systems. The galaxy needs to be united and prepared when that happens. The rebellion in the outer systems is being supported by unknown forces with advanced technology, added Captain Sandra Lopez from her position monitoring the frontier regions. Our analysis suggests that they may be the descendants of a species that was supposed to be extinct. The galaxy faces threats that the current political structure cannot handle. Jake turned back to face the alien counselors. Humanity did not reveal our true capabilities because we wanted to conquer anyone. We revealed them because the galaxy is about to change whether we want it to or not. The only question is whether we face those changes as allies or as enemies. The alien counselors looked at each other again. The weight of the decision was enormous. Accept humanity as an equal and admit that their entire understanding of galactic politics had been wrong, or reject them and face a war against a species that had just demonstrated superior intelligence, technology, and strategic thinking. Finally, Crystal Song of Ancient Wisdom spoke. The Zephyrian Collective has always valued wisdom above pride. We recognize that the humans have demonstrated capabilities that exceed our initial assessment. We are willing to discuss new arrangements. Serenity of Stars flickered through several colors before responding. The Valdari harmony finds the human approach to be unconventional but effective. We too are willing to negotiate. All eyes turned to Counselor Vexler. The Kethmar were a proud species that valued hierarchy and strength above all else. This decision would be the hardest for them. Vexler was quiet for a long time. His many eyes studied Jake, then the displays showing human capabilities, then the fleet visible outside the windows. Finally, his mandibles clicked in. What Jake had learned was a sign of grudging respect. The Kethmar hive respects strength and cunning. You have demonstrated both. We will accept humans as worthy opponents who happen to be offering alliance instead of conquest. Jake felt the tension he had been carrying for 3 years finally leave his shoulders. Thank you, counselors. I think you have made a wise choice. Now, he continued, let us discuss the real terms of galactic membership. Not the limited version you were going to offer us, but true partnership between equals. Admiral Foster's image smiled. All human vessels stand down from alert status. Begin friendship protocols. Outside the station, the human fleet shifted. From battle formation to escort formation, their weapons powering down but remaining visible. A demonstration that humanity was choosing cooperation but was prepared for other options. Dr. Carter began bringing up new displays showing proposed technology sharing, joint research projects, and mutual defense agreements. The real negotiations were about to begin, but this time both sides would be negotiating honestly. Jake Morrison looked around the council chamber that had been the scene of so much careful deception. For 3 years, he had stood in this room pretending to be something he was not. Now, finally, he could be himself. Ladies, gentlemen, and honored counselors, he said, welcome to the new galactic order. I think you are going to find it much more interesting than the old one. Later, in his private quarters, Jake allowed himself to smile genuinely for the first time in 3 years. Outside his window, human ships were broadcasting their true identification signals. Across the galaxy, humanity was stepping out of the shadows and into the light as the apex predators they had always been. The Politeness protocol had been permanently disabled. The real work could finally begin.